Welcome back to our Hornets Walk. There's only one place to start this week. And we got Rio and Aaron to join in the chorus of that with us this week. Thank you very much for joining us. Of course, we're talking about that derby win. How good did it feel? We'll get Rio and Aaron's view on it in a second. Plus, this week, we're also asking this question based on that result and just generally across the season. Is it time for Tom Cleverley's contract discussions now to start and finish and conclude and get him ready for the next season? We'll be putting that to the panel as well. Plus, Tom Ince rolling back the years. Who'd have thought we'd be talking about that this week, but we certainly are going to. We're looking at Watford's fixtures as well for March and predicting just how many points out of 15 they're likely to pick up given the strength of the opponents. And at the end of the video, stay tuned, don't go anywhere, because we'll be asking Aaron and Rio to pick the one fan base they would love to get rid of, and we're not allowing them to say Luton, which other one fan base they would love to see relegated from the division. So stay tuned for that. But let's start with the derby, Rio. How good was that?
Yeah, a win's a win, especially against them. It means even more. We were good, but I feel we didn't even have to be that great to beat them. They were truly awful. We did nothing second half, and Selvik, our keeper, was barely threatened. But that first half, we played some of the best football I've seen this season. There was an image which was put out on Twitter of, I think, one of our players lost the ball on the halfway line and they were running down Larouche's flank. There's about 5-6 players trying to tackle one man. I mean, the work rate was so good. No wonder about 5 of our players have knocks after that.
Yeah. We talked, didn't we, last week about making sure Cleverley, make sure they got it. It was pretty clear, I think, in the opening 20 minutes, Aaron, that them players understood their job.
Absolutely. I couldn't be more happy with how they came out. It was very quickly established that there was one team of men and one team of boys in that game. And that first 30 minutes, we just played off the park. I think they just shrunk into the shells. They let us play how we wanted to, and it was just the total reverse of that game at Kenilworth Road. I think we came into Kenilworth Road back in, what was it now, October or whatever. But yeah, we went to Kenilworth Road and they made us play their game, playing long, all set pieces, and then that's what we had to do this fixture, and we did exactly that. We went, you're not doing that here. We're going to play our way, and you're going to deal with it, and they couldn't deal with it.
Yeah, brilliant. Somebody in the comments must tell us the name of the Watford admin, because this is brilliant. Highlights from a fun kickabout at the Vic on one, and then taking in the sights, of course, a little jab there.
They also posted the full 90 minutes this morning, and it was like, college, no, work, no, watching the full 90 minutes of yesterday,
yeah. Well done, Watford admin. Sad. I mean, a sour note. You would have felt this, but it was definitely trending on Twitter. The Sky Sports decided to put an experimental female duo commentating team on the game, which no problem with that at all. But they could not sounded more bored or disinterested in the game whatsoever. And for anyone who's watching it like I was on TV, it will have ruined the spectacle of it being a derby. But hopefully Sky will learn from that. And if art of a commentator to make it sound interesting. Never mind. Was it a penalty, Rio? Just clear this up.
I've seen it back. I personally don't think so from what I've seen. I think it was quite soft, but I'm not going to complain. And I think it did change the game because I don't think we necessarily started that fast. They were, as their manager said in his post-match interview, that they were quite good for 5-6 minutes. That would infuriate me if I was a Luton fan. But yeah, that penalty changed the game. And coincidentally, when we went to their place in October, we went 1-0 down after 10 minutes and totally changed the game because at their place, Chavadazzi, they had a back pass which nearly went into their own goal after about a minute. Like, it would have tipped the game on its head. But yeah, it was crucial to get that early goal and they set the tone. We were all over them first half. Second half, the job was kind of done and we just let them have the majority of the ball because they were already knackered from chasing us in that first half.
Absolutely. And we'll call out some players in a second. Jacko being one of them. Jacko says, I effing love this team. Tom has transformed our mentality and I haven't felt this proud and connected with our team in years. Effing get in, lads. All of you worked your socks off. And it's that connection to the team I want to ask you about, Aaron. Do you understand what Jacko's saying there? Do you feel proud and connected to this side, perhaps more than you have done in recent years?
Absolutely. And I think that is what tipped the fan base over the edge when all those rumours came out that Cleverley might be losing his job, is that this fan base, for the first time in a long, long time, is 100% unified behind that head coach. He has done. He's been in almost every leadership position you can be in as a player coming in. He was a young player coming on loan. He won Player of the Year. Comes back later in his career as a more experienced pro, having played for some big teams. Then becomes captain and is now head coach. I mean, if there's not many people left in football right now who epitomise Watford as much as Tom Cleverley does, and I think that is it. And the guy he acts with such a calm and collected demeanour. He represents the club so well in the press, and I mean, the results on the pitch have been, for the most part, good. Yeah, we had that bad run, but when you're behind an idea, you've got to take the rough with the smooth.
I just wanted to say, after the last 2 victories, you can see the players pushing Cleverley towards the fans, and you can't tell we'd end up playing for him, and they absolutely adore him. I met Matty Pollock a couple of weeks ago. He was like, he's the best manager I've ever had, way better than the likes of Holloway, this, that, and that. And also in the video you can see yesterday of them pushing Cleverley towards the fans, they're all singing Tom Cleverley or Ole. Half of them don't even speak English.
So new contract then?
Has to be. Even if we finish 21st, I'd give him a new contract.
Okay.
Yeah, wholeheartedly agree.
Yeah, we haven't really examined the fact that it was still 3 points towards the march on the playoffs, and we'd kind of given up on that a couple of weeks ago. But I mean, is it back on now, Rio, for you? We'll look at the fixtures in a minute.
If we get something or beat Stoke, I'd say yes. I mean, I feel Bristol City are going to fall off, so Blackburn. I think it'll be maybe a 3-horse race between us, Coventry, and West Brom. But I think it's a good thing that we had our dip, let's say, in the middle of the season, and you're going to have Barr back in a couple of weeks, and he's crucial. I'd argue he's our top 3 most important players. And if you look at our fixtures on paper, well, we're playing like the likes of Bristol City and Blackburn and West Brom who are around us. But apart from that, we've got loads of teams at the bottom. Hull, Plymouth, Swansea, all at home. There has to be 7 or 9 points. I'd say we're in it. But if we did go up, I think that Derby points total is going to be quite close.
Okay. We'll look at some players now. First of all, Tom Ince. Now, it's fair to say that he polarizes opinions, I think, of Watford fans, but he didn't polarize them on this game because there was tons and tons of tweets. This is just a sample of them. Jacko was back again. He's saying he worked his socks off. Thank you, Ince. The admin says bossed it, which says he rolled back the years. Dale was good. He said, really not a fan of Tom Ince before coming to Watford, and even then he was sceptical when he joined. Thought it was a really mature performance from him today. Tidy in possession, excellent work rate off the ball, providing plenty of defensive support. Well, here's a player we haven't kind of sung the praises of on here, Aaron, but let's do so. Tom Ince, go.
Yeah, I mean, I like that last comment. Wasn't really a fan of Tom Ince. We brought him in, it was kind of we've got an experienced championship player for very little. I don't think he'll do too much. And he got a bit of a bit part role under Val, but then sort of disappeared. And it's just, I couldn't believe the performance he had. That is as good a game as football as you can play without getting a goal or assist as a midfielder. I think it was genuinely that good. I think Clev said it in the pre-match. He didn't put a foot wrong, and he's right. He was where he needed to be every time. I mean, the last-ditch interception tackle he makes when they go through after a horrendous corner from Imran. They were bursting through. I was like, blimey, this is it. This is the 2-1, and then we're going to have a real bum clencher on our hands for the last 20 minutes. But this guy read the game so well. You could see it in the way he travelled back. He's obviously not the quickest, but he knew. He sort of drifted into the middle, and then he played the pass through to the guy to put him on goal. And Tommy just comes out of nowhere, takes it, and saves the day, really. No, he deserves all the flowers for that performance.
If you watched the video back from last week, I said I preferred Tom Ince over Batty.
Yeah, and it shows good management again, doesn't he? To know to select a player like that in a game like this.
I'd like to comment on Cleverley's management quickly. In the reverse game, he had a toss-up between Batman and Bond, and he got that wrong. He should have played Bond. Big call to put Mamadou Doumbia, an 18-year-old, up front in the derby. Tom Ince as well, who don't think he's started a game in months. And you've also got who's the other select? Oh, Pollock. Yeah, Pollock. He's been captain a couple of times and arguably our player of the season. On the bench, he's don't change a winning team, they say.
Yeah, absolutely. Other player we must mention, even though the commentators couldn't pronounce it properly, was Georgie, of course. He says, on fire today, created so many chances, including the second goal with his runs at goal. Man of the match for me. So Leicester might be looking to sign him. Hopefully we can hang on for him a little bit longer than just the summer. So what's his value up to now, Rio?
He's a great player. It's just 2 goals. I think you can't say his end product needs improvement or decision making, because his final pass, his dribbling is so important to getting us up the pitch. It's just he's been through on goal a few times this season, and he's fluffed his lines. 2 goals for an attacking midfielder. It's probably not good enough, but I still think in that all these players are so overvalued nowadays because of what they mean to the club rather than what they're worth. Like, Zaha a few years back was linked to going for 80 odd million. Rice went for 100 million. Is he worth that? Probably not. So I say we'll probably sell him for over 20, but I think he's probably worth 12 to 15.
Okay. Yeah, he's already attracting interest, isn't he, from Premier League opposition? Do you think is he Premier League quality, Aaron, for you? I mean, you watch him in and out, day in, day out, week in, week out.
Yeah, no, I honestly think he is, and I think he's sort of suited to that role where I think Cleverley's sort of given him the free roam to go, look, you're not specifically playing in the middle, you're not playing out wide, just float behind those attackers and make something happen. And I think he's especially good when he sort of gets into those areas between the wide player and the midfield, sort of shuttles between there, carries the ball forward. And I don't think there's a better player in the league than him at carrying the ball like that. He's almost untackleable.
Yeah.
They have to foul him to stop him progressing. And I think that kind of trait is absolutely suited to someone that can play in the Premier League. I think, like Rio says, the prices are extrapolated. And the problem with us selling players now is I always think back to, well, we only got 30 million for João Pedro. And I know people like only, but that guy was worth more than that. And he quite obviously now he's in the Premier League is. And I think if I'm looking at Georgie right now, he's having that kind of significance for us. So should we maybe be asking for that?
I think he's got Wolves written all over him if they stay up. Can you replace him?
It just sounds like that. All right, before we move on from the derby, then let's just have one last look at the scoreboard and everybody. Any. I mean, this is a daft discussion I've ever asked you, but Luton are probably going to get relegated now on the back of that, and also how bad they are, generally how bad they are. Will you be sorry to see the fixture go, Rio? I mean, you'll obviously be happy that they've gone down, but will you generally miss them?
I'm going to say I want them to go down. Firstly, because of the away fixture. Until they get into that new ground and it's a bigger allocation and the train station's right by the ground and we don't have to get those coaches, I'm not going to miss going there. I think what's made the derby so good and why it's so underrated by those who don't support Watford and Luton is because we've only played each other a few times with fans since like the early 2000s, if that. So I think that's what makes the fixture so good. But I honestly think if and when they go down, because I've seen their fixtures so tough, I think they struggle in League One because just that mentality, like there'll be numerous players in that squad next season if they go to League One who would have faced back-to-back relegations. They just need a whole refresh.
Right, brings us on nicely then to looking at the March fixtures for Watford. As you already mentioned some of them already, let's have a quick scan of them, Aaron. So 3 home games to come in March against Millwall, Swansea and Plymouth, and then a trip to Stoke and a trip to Oxford. So I'm looking at this and I'm seeing potentially 15 points here. I'm seeing no problems whatsoever, Aaron.
Look, we've been doing this podcast even long enough to know that that's not happening. Do you remember the last time we pulled up a one like this? And we went, these are some good fixtures. And what happened? If you go back to that on your old scores app, you'll probably see they're all red. So no, I'm not holding out hope for anything crazy like that. However, I do really like the home games. I think the only one that throws me a little bit is who will Swansea's boss be? Will they get that new manager bounce? Maybe. As for the away games, I fancy us a Stoke at the weekend, which is scary. Because I'm not normally one to be confident, but I actually do like us to win Saturday. Oxford, I think, is a tough place to go. It depends on. I'm not sure. I haven't kept up with how their injury situation was, but I know the last time we played them, they had quite a fair few players out. But if we do get, hopefully, say we get, I don't know, 10 from those first 5, maybe 12 if we can. That Bristol City game is the big one. If we get to that and we're still as close to the playoffs as we are, then that game's going to be massive.
Okay, right. Cheers for that. Finally, this week we're asking all our teams who would you like to see the back of in terms of relegation. We had to also do promotion last week. So, apart from Luton, Rio, which other fan base would you like to see the back of this season?
Fan base or club or what?
Well, which of the 9 clubs are facing relegation would you most like to see go down, apart from the obvious?
I don't think they will because they did just batter Blackburn, but I'd say Swansea. I'd argue it's the worst away day in the league. I mean, I don't think we've played there on a weekend for about 10 years. I've been about 4 times. It's just half-empty stadium, soulless around the place. And because it's midweek, always have to get a club coach, which arrives about 3 hours before kickoff and leaves about 8 hours before kickoff. It's ridiculous. The rest are good away days then. And I don't really mind any of the other teams. Hull do very nice food, so I hope they stay up.
Okay. Aaron?
See, I don't really have any gripes with any of these teams, but out of these lot, I'm going to say Portsmouth, just so that Bar gets the last laugh after everything that happened.
Let it go.
No. Do you know what? I think they need to let it go because I still see some of their fans going on about it under our tweets and stuff. So I am hopeful that Bar comes back and does something at Fratton Park, but I know that's a pretty hard place to go, so that'll be a very interesting one.
They'll be on the beach by then, hopefully, because they're winning.
Yeah, I don't know because Bar's rolled them up so much they might be up for that one game.
They'll be rocking.
I think they might be. Yeah. Right. Thank you very much. Well done on your derby victory, and we'll see you the other side of the Stoke game. Thank you very much for watching. Do drop us a like and do drop us a subscribe if you haven't yet done so. It's our 30th episode this week, 30 weeks of talking about Watford. So I think that deserves definitely to get 30 likes for the first time this week. Thank you very much for watching. Now, enjoy your week. I'm sure you all will. Don't rub it in too much if you know any Luton fans in work. See you in 7 days' time.